Right. So it's time for some fall baking, and I'm going to share the plated dessert I got this week. So today we're going to be making chai spiced sugar cookies with orange glaze. So I'm not really very familiar with chai, I just think Starbucks or tea when I hear that word, but evidently chai is a type of Indian tea traditionally simmered with milk and warm spices. So this recipe, they use the same spices to infuse classic sugar cookies. So I guess what makes chai, in case you were wondering, and I was wondering because I didn't know, is allspice, cardamom, cinnamon, cloves, ginger, and black pepper. So we're going to see what's in the package. So this came from Plated, so all I have to supply is the egg. This is an egg I got out of my fridge. And we're going to open up their ingredients. We're going to see how easy they can make this sugar cookie recipe. So, got parchment paper, 1/4 teaspoon baking powder, 2/3 cup granulated sugar, 1/2 teaspoon baking soda, 1/2 cup powdered sugar, 1 cup all-purpose flour, vanilla, how much? 1/2 teaspoon vanilla. Here is the spice mix, which had all those spices in it. So it's 2 3/8 teaspoons of a mixture of cinnamon, cardamom, ginger, allspice, and cloves. On the recipe card, it actually breaks it down. So I'm getting blind. I'm getting old. I just can't believe it finally hit. 1/4 teaspoon ground allspice, 1/2 teaspoon ground cardamom, 1/2 teaspoon ground cinnamon, 1/8 teaspoon ground cloves, and 1/2 teaspoon ground ginger. If you wanted to make this yourself, is a stick of butter. You know, shortly after I made that video complaining about all the little cubes of butter, the company started using cubes. I'm like, I don't know. I mean, hardly anyone's watched my video, but I don't know if I maybe helped influence it or not. But I really appreciate this instead of having to unwrap all those butter pats. For those of you who watched my other video last winter, this is 4 tablespoons, so half a normal stick. It's like a mini stick. And an orange for the orange spice. There's all of my ingredients. So it says the first thing to do is heat the oven. So since my last baking video, I have a new oven because my last oven, which was 20 years old, died. So welcome to my new oven. So I'm just gonna turn that on like that. And it's on. So just wait for it to heat up. And we're gonna place the butter in a large bowl and set aside to soften at room temperature at least 10 minutes while we get everything else. So much easier than unwrapping all those little butter pats. It's like heaven. I'm actually going to cut the butter up a little bit because it'll soften faster if it's in smaller pieces. We're going to line a baking sheet with parchment paper. I gotta get my baking sheet. Baking sheet. I have an insulated baking sheet. I find it bakes cookies more evenly. Easy enough. Alright, so it's not been quite 10 minutes, but I'm going to go ahead and skip creaming the butter for now, and I'm going to mix the dry ingredients, and then I'm going to go back, and then it should be time to cream the butter. So I'm actually skipping step 2 for right now. I'm going to step 3. So we're going to mix together the flour and the baking powder and the baking soda and the spice mix and salt and a pinch of black pepper. So cup flour, baking powder, 1/4 teaspoon, baking soda, spice mix. I love those spices. And we're going to add 1/4 teaspoon salt, pinch, or a couple swirls of my grinder, black pepper. My grinder is cleaned out. And we're going to mix that all up. My oven's heated up. I'm not ready to put the cookies in there yet. My new oven is so much faster. Well, this butter will get softer as I beat beat it with my mixer. So I'm going to add the sugar to the butter. And I'm going to blend it. I got my old-fashioned blender. I used to have a KitchenAid stand mixer, but the motor broke on it, and I could never get it fixed, so I just went back to this thing, which I've had since I was 20 years old. Still works 25 years later. Okay, so we're going to beat this until fluffy, 1 or 2 minutes, so we'll see how it goes. The butter it'd be easier if it were softer. Oops. I'm making a mess! But whenever I use electric appliances like this, I always think about what it would be like before electricity and having to do this by hand. It'd be a lot of work. That kind of looks pale and fluffy. I might call that good enough. Next step. I got sugar all over the place. Ah! Well, is a cat fur brush taking off sugar sprinkles? I think so. I don't know. Need an apron. Let's do it this way. This way I won't kill my black sweater. Okay. Alright, so I think that looks pretty fluffy. But we're going to add the vanilla and the egg to this, and we're going to beat it for another 2 minutes. So, and the egg. Set my timer for 2 minutes. There we go, and that is nice and light in color, so I think that's okay. Now we're just going to fold the dried ingredients into that and gently stir until dough is just combined. Oops, looking at my apron on. It's kind of a mess. I was going to use my blender for this step, but whenever a recipe for baking says just until combined, you know I don't want to over mix it, but okay. Ready to get these on the cookie sheet. Now it says we should be able to get about 13 cookies out of this, so let's see how it goes. 1 tablespoon at a time we're going to make. 13 balls. So, balls. The question is, do I only make 13, or do I make more than 13 and just divide this evenly between the other cookies? That's like the question. Do you make exactly what the recipe says, or do you so some of these cookies, they weren't quite as big as famous last words. I should have just made an extra cookie or two. This is messy. That's a mess. Okay. Okay. Gotta wash my hands. You know, 13, I think that's a baker's dozen, isn't it? I don't know, but that's an odd number to fit on a baking tray. Okay, so we're gonna bake these. The directions say 12 to 14 minutes, but my oven always takes longer, and this kind of pan always takes longer, so I'm gonna put these things in here for 20 minutes. And I'll check them at 15, but I imagine they're pretty thick. I imagine in my oven, this is going to take at least 20 minutes. Well, the cookies are still baking, so I'm going to go ahead and make the orange glaze. While I'm waiting, I got everything kind of cleaned up. So my own orange juicer. So it says the half orange, and then in bowl, we're going to squeeze enough orange juice to yield 2 tablespoons. So we probably won't need the whole orange. I'm probably only going to need half of it, I think. Yep, half an orange is exactly 2 tablespoons, so perfect. And then we're going to just add this powdered sugar and whisk that till smooth, and then there's sweet orange glaze. So, there we go, orange glaze. If you like oranges. Oh, they're getting close to done. They smell really good. Really good. 20 minutes. It's been 19. I think I was about right. How long my oven's going to take to cook those. Yum, yum, yum. See if these done. I added an extra 2 minutes. Just wasn't quite convinced that they were done. Puffed and lightly browned around the edges. I think those look done. And I am going to let these sit for 5 minutes before we drizzle them with orange glaze. So just let them sit here. Cool on the baking sheet. I wish you could smell it through the camera. I love the smell of these kind of spices. Alright, so they've sat for 5 minutes and they've cooled a little bit. And so I'm going to go ahead and drizzle the orange glaze over the top. It's the exciting time. Drizzle, drizzle, drizzle. Some of the cookies got too much glaze. I didn't have enough left for that cookie. Just like that. Okay. Yummers. Alright, I'm going to let those sit a couple minutes longer. And I'll put them on a pretty plate. I haven't made cookies for quite a while, so I'm kind of excited to see what these taste like. The orange glaze is good.